Hey everyone, quick question. Have you ever been asked if you perform vulnerability assessments or penetration testing? So usually these come up when responding to a cyber insurance application or a third-party due diligence questionnaire, and while the two assessment types have some similarities, they are very different. So I thought it might be helpful today to take a look at the differences in case this comes up for you in the future. So the goal of both a vulnerability assessment and a penetration test is to determine if we have weaknesses in our system that could be exploited or attacked by a threat actor. So let's start off by looking at how they might operate. I'm using the EC Council Certified Ethical Hacker text as a reference here, and they list 5 phases of a penetration test. And this may shed some light on the big difference between a vulnerability assessment and a penetration test, and you'll see what I mean. By the way, I may use threat actor and pen tester interchangeably today, as ultimately a pen tester's goal is to emulate a threat actor. So phase 1 is reconnaissance, and this is where a threat actor tries to gather as much information as possible about the organization and its people. And this is often used to craft social engineering attacks to be used later, or just understand what types of systems and services may be in use at the organization. It's really just about gathering information at this point and building a profile. So phase 2 is scanning, and during the scanning phase, technical details are collected and added to the information gathered during the reconnaissance phase. Now the threat actor or pen tester is looking for things like operating systems that may be running, DNS records that would indicate certain types of public-facing applications or public-facing services like websites or even VPN endpoints. So phase 3 is the vulnerability assessment, and this kind of gives away the big difference here between the two, I guess. A vulnerability assessment is a key piece of the penetration testing process and something used by both the good guys and the bad guys. You see, the hope is that by continually assessing vulnerabilities of our systems, we can mitigate them before a threat actor makes it to phase 3 and identifies those same vulnerabilities. So during this process, we're using tools to expose weaknesses in the systems that we've identified in phase 1 and phase 2. And so at this point, a threat actor has gathered information about our organization, our people, our systems, and now they've armed themselves with the vulnerabilities that exist in those systems. And these could be things like misconfigurations, missing patches, or even issues with processes like user provisioning or entitlement. Even non-technical things like how we onboard and train users. And this is where the outcome of a vulnerability assessment and a pen test really become apparent. At this point, the vulnerability assessment is over. Reports would be provided to an IT or security team along with mitigation recommendations. However, for the pen tester, well, things are just getting started. You see, phase 4 is exploitation, and during exploitation, the pen tester actually goes to work using all of the information gathered to this point to see if they can break into the system without tripping any alarm bells and bypassing any security defenses that have been put in place. And while working through the system, they'll document all of the steps they're taking, as well as the observation of how the systems are reacting. The ultimate goal is to either extract information or leave something behind to prove that they were able to successfully get in. In either case, if they're able to get in, elevate their privileges, and access critical systems and data, then we can gain valuable knowledge about our systems and how our future attack might be successful. You see, oftentimes it's not a single vulnerability that results in a cyber incident. Instead, it's a combination of things gathered during reconnaissance and scanning, along with the vulnerabilities, and sometimes chaining multiple pieces together that result in a successful attack. And oftentimes all of this is preceded by a well-crafted social engineering attack that opens the door. The final phase, phase 5, is reporting, and during this collaborative review, the pen tester will meet with leadership or a technical team to report their findings of whether or not they were able to successfully breach the system. And if so, they'll walk the team through what information they were able to find and what steps they were able to take to successfully get in. This allows the organization to address these weaknesses and improve the overall posture of the system to reduce the chances of similar attacks from a real threat actor. Vulnerability assessments have become common in most organizations these days and are usually automated, and they come in a variety of types: authenticated, unauthenticated, internal, external, and they use information from multiple cybersecurity sources to help us better understand the ever-changing weaknesses in our computer systems. Every time a software package is updated, we are usually unintentionally introducing new vulnerabilities that may require patching or adjustments, so it's just a continuous loop of evaluation and mitigation. Pen tests go beyond the theoretical and actually put these weaknesses to the test by combining them with human hands-on keyboard skill and expertise to help us better understand just how our systems will hold up if those vulnerabilities are exploited in the real world. And there are some options these days for automated pen testing, which can be helpful. These are configured to mimic known attack patterns of threat actors to provide a sort of enhanced vulnerability assessment. However, it's important to note that nothing can beat a skilled ethical hacker to provide a real-life simulation of an attack. Some third parties and insurance providers may not accept automated tests, so make sure you check with them before going this route. It's probably no surprise based on this information that cost increases as you move through these various scenarios. Vulnerability assessments are cost-effective and should be considered a minimum for any organization. Pen testing can be relatively expensive depending on established budgets, but they should be considered a valuable investment. And finally, automated pen testing may be a solution somewhere in the middle if human pen testing isn't feasible for your organization. So I hope this has been helpful, and if you're considering any upcoming red team services, reach out to the team here at Axxys, and let's talk through your needs and make sure that we get the right assessment for you. We have multiple certified professionals on staff that can help you in whatever capacity. So just call us. We're here to help. Thanks a bunch.